Now, Reverend Patricia will give us our message for the day. But where did she go?
She'll be back soon.
Stay tuned.
Here she comes.
But apparently I sent the slide deck for last year, which is not what I want. So anyway, there will be no slide deck today. So this is kind of a weird service. I mean, I just feel like we're all just like in my living room or something. Anyway, it's good. I have been really focused on gratitude for probably about a month and a half because I wanted to really do this for us as a community and use this idea of spiritual practice as something that we really begin to focus on. So I have these little booklets that anyone who wants to be part of this for the next month, actually 21 days, you can grab one of these in the back. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about gratitude and how the gratitude practice that we would engage in can really, really be a powerful thing for us in our lives. So people think of gratitude as, and this is where I had all these great slides, which I don't have, so there you go. People think about gratitude as an appreciation of something that happens in their life, an awareness of maybe a person that they're thankful for. They say, I'm thankful for the sun. I'm thankful for that relationship that I have. I'm thankful for my home. And we tend to kind of stop at that place. We write a list of gratitude. Has anybody done a gratitude list in the past? And, you know, this gentleman, Robert Emmons, who wrote extensively on gratitude, he was doing studies for 30 years with different control groups, with people who had illnesses, with children's groups, with people who were really trying to shift out of depression in their life. He worked with people who were in prison. He worked with people who'd had traumatic experiences, and he was basically having people dive more deeply into the experience of gratitude and move beyond just what he calls gratitude light, where we're just saying, oh, I have an attitude of gratitude. You know, I'm grateful. And you meet people like that sometimes, you know, and they'll just rattle off the things they're grateful for. But there's a different level that we can go to when we really begin to take this on as a spiritual practice. And that's what I would like to invite anyone who wants to do this for the next 3 weeks. We'll be culminating the 3 weeks. We'll start tomorrow, and the last day will be the Saturday before our gratitude celebration, which is the 24th of the month, soup and pie. And we'll be celebrating our wonderful friend Philip, who's going to be traveling on his journey eastward. Most people go west, but he's going east. So we have a lot of things that we're going to be able to focus on and be grateful for. So this 21 days is a time for you to make a commitment, really, and to feel this sense of expanding your gratitude presence in the world. You know, they've done studies, and we talked a little bit about this last week when I was focusing on some of the studies from Andrew Nuremberg and what can happen to the brain when we move into higher states of consciousness. You know, literally, things happen, and we move out of the fight or flight, amygdala, limbic system brain, and we can move way into the frontal brain. And for me, that's what I think this gratitude light is. We have the idea of gratitude, but it isn't actually embodied in the experience of who we are, and it doesn't impact us at the level of our feeling nature in the way it can if we really make a commitment to focus on gratitude. So part of what Emmons found out was that people who really made a commitment to gratitude, he would do things like an 8-week program, and he would do study groups where there would be people who would use a gratitude journal every day for 21 days or even for 8 weeks, people who would write gratitude letters, over a period of time, people who would actually make visits to people and speak their gratitude to people that they had not maybe acknowledged how grateful they were. And what they found was people's lives shifted. Their physiology shifted, their health became more abundant, more energized. There, people who had been in a place of depression in their life, they started losing that depression, because one of the things people talk about is how gratitude engenders happiness. We think that we're happy and that makes us grateful, and a lot of times if you're saying, oh, what I'm grateful for, you think about the things that make you happy. But the truth is, it's the other way around. If we cultivate this capacity for gratitude in our life, it actually makes us more happy. And who doesn't want that, right? Really, who does not want that? So, I always feel like I should say something from the Bible, because we're a church, right? But this was hard, because there's not a lot. There's Thanksgiving. We talk about Thanksgiving and thanking God, but there's not a lot in the Bible that really focuses specifically on gratitude. I did find a couple of quotes that I think in a way really help me to help us understand an expanded view of gratitude. And one of them was from Ephesians 5, be filled with the Spirit as you sing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs among yourselves, singing and making melody to the Lord in your hearts, giving thanks to God at all times and for everything in the name and through the power of Jesus Christ. So in the name and through the power of that Christ consciousness. And I love this idea that, here we are this morning, we're singing together. It amplifies our awareness of our connection to all life. And that's the piece about gratitude that I think is a really important expanded awareness of what gratitude is. There is there's a Vietnamese proverb, which I had in my slides, and basically the proverb is, when you eat a fruit, be grateful for the one who planted the tree. When you eat a fruit, be grateful for the one who planted the tree. And the idea of that is how much is involved. And even if you think for us, we're not just picking the lemon off the tree, maybe some of you are, but we're going to the grocery store and we're buying that fruit. And if you even look at all the people who had to make choices in their lives to give us that piece of fruit, it's an exponential thing that we begin to become aware of. And I think this was part of what the biblical quote reminds us of, is that we live in this incredible expanded matrix of God's good. It's a network that we're connected to in ways we cannot even see. And so when we begin to mine what really has given us a sense of presence, a sense of God's good, a sense of joy, whether it's in our relationships, whether it's in health in the physical body, whether it's where the home we live in, this community, when we start taking a look at that at a deeper level, it kind of explodes the mind, because it's so expansive, so very expansive. One of the things Emmons says is that we don't want to restrict gratitude to just some kind of a little technique, like making the list, or even to having an inner feeling. What does the feeling of gratitude feel like for you? If you think about gratitude, you think of something you're grateful. What's the feeling that you get? Heart, warm. Joy. What else? Peacefulness. Great. So it's very interesting, and that's part of what I'm going to invite you to do if you decide to take on the gratitude challenges. We're going to be looking more deeply at the experience. If we, I did this exercise I've done 2 classes this week on gratitude, 2 webinars, and one of the questions that we did was, pick somebody that you're grateful for in your life, and look at, who you are as a result of that relationship. Amazing. All of a sudden, especially if you pick someone you've known for a while or a family member, you start seeing who you've become as a result of this relationship. And then you begin to notice what the feeling is, you know, and I had one woman said, oh, I just feel so supported. I have this sense that I'm just like supported in the universe. And somebody else was saying how much comfort they felt because of this relationship. So these are things that we experience, but we don't have the tendency to move it beyond our own experience. And this is where having a gratitude challenge gives us other opportunities to move beyond just that inner awareness of, oh, I'm feeling grateful today, I'm really happy, you know, that I had that extra hour, I really enjoyed the recipe I made last night for dinner, and I'm so happy Roy loved it. You know, going beyond that to noticing what the feeling is inside there, and then being able to communicate it out in the world. So part of what we're going to be doing, if you so decide to be part of this gratitude challenge, is we're going to be looking at different ways that we not only can experience gratitude inside, in our own heart, but also how we can bring it out into the world. One of the things that Emmons said, he wrote a little book. He's written 3 or 4 books. I think his first book was called Thanks, and it was very, his name is Robert Emmons, E-M-M-O-N-S. The book Thanks was very much about the research he did. And this little book, it has some of the research, but it has much more specifics about how different qualities of dealing with those experiences, people, situations in our life from a grateful heart, how it really begins to move us and be in a place of giving, not just receiving, not just being grateful because it's there for us or that we have that, but rather how it starts to move us to be out in the world. And, you know, gratitude, some can even think of gratitude as a virtue. In fact, the Roman Emperor Cicero said, gratitude is the queen of all virtues. And people who think of gratitude in that way think of it as something that's reciprocal. In other words, there's a reciprocity to it. If someone gives me something and I say, I thank you for that, how do I thank you? Do I just say thank you, or do I create a good experience for that person? Do I do a good deed? Do I write them a thank you note? How many people had their mothers train them to write thank you notes? Yeah. Do we still write thank you notes? Yeah. There we go. Awesome, good thing. Because that kind of, there's something he also talked about, how they've really discovered that not only just thinking what we're grateful for, but literally writing it down anchors it in a very, very different way. Thus the reason to have a gratitude journal, because you're not just sitting there going, oh, I'm so grateful for this. You're sitting and you're taking the time to write down not only the things you're grateful for, but maybe something that made you smile today. I mean, I've had a lot of smiles this morning. I've had a few not smiles over the copy machine. Those of you who are back there with me today had a little wrestling with the copy machine. But things that, like a person that makes you gives you a sense of connection, because it's about connection, isn't it? And gratitude expands the heart. Gratitude is a heart experience. It's not a head experience. It might begin in the head, but it moves into the heart, and it literally expands the heart. My teachers in India I think it started maybe even before COVID, but every November they do a 12-day gratitude challenge. And it's about 20 minutes long. It's a little video, and it includes some very simple hand gestures, but it's always connected to the heart. Because the idea is that when we become more aware of who and what we have gratitude for, it literally expands the heart energy. So in that particular challenge, the first day is gratitude to the mother, and focusing just on the mother, because we all did come from a mother. So it's one of those places that we could start and feel a sense of gratitude for the mother. And then to be able to inwardly express gratitude, even if our mothers have passed, to be able to feel into what you would say in gratitude to your mother. And then, the bonus would be if you could write a letter and actually give it to your mother. So this idea of moving beyond just the inner experience and moving out into taking essentially action is kind of part of what unity teaches us, isn't it? Number 4 is our tools are prayer and meditation. Meister Eckhart said, if our only prayer is thank you, that would be enough. That idea that gratitude can be the ground of our prayer life. It can be the grounding of our meditation. And unity teaching number 5, if we're not going to do any of these things, we're not going to get the benefit of raising higher consciousness. It's like if we're not going to be in prayer and we're not going to meditate. And this is one of the reasons that I wanted us to get really kind of actively involved in a practice of gratitude for the month of November. One of the things that Robert Emmons talks about is that one of the key parts of gratitude is our memory. And I don't know about you, but mine is not as great as it used to be. It's really distressing being able to see someone's face and knowing who that person was in my life and what they did, but not being able to remember her name, But so one of the things he talks about is that the practice of gratitude is about remembering. It's about remembering, even in the moment when we're grateful for something or we're thinking about a person. It's about remembering not just that person, but it's about the details. It's kind of like the juiciness of working in gratitude is getting into the details. Getting into the details of a relationship, getting into the details of an experience, of why sitting in the sun felt so great, because of what was happening of the sun coming through the window, and you're sitting next, and your coffee's there, and you're feeling how the sun just hit you in this upper part of your body. It's getting into that juiciness of the details of life. And that's where we activate our memories, and so I'm feeling it's going to be really good for me to do this gratitude challenge. It's going to kind of begin to spark more of those things that maybe have gotten left behind because I haven't been engaging in them. So he also says that it's important for us to realize that really focusing on gratitude, and especially if you decide to do this 21-day gratitude challenge with me, that it takes effort. It's not just, you have to devote yourself, decide I'm going to sit down every day at a certain time and give myself, even if it's 5 minutes, whatever it is, that you've created that commitment that you're going to do it. And that you begin, what starts to happen is you train yourself, you're really training yourself to pay more attention to the things that are going on all around you. You become more connected to the web of life and to this divine presence that we live in, have our being in. We also begin to see and become more aware of the contributions from other people. Your connection comes at a different level when you start really mining gratitude. You begin to feel the connection and the contribution that you receive from a relationship with other people. And, we can express it in words, we can express it in a letter, but however we express it, the important thing is that we do express it somehow. So the journal is a way for us to do that. It was interesting, as I was reading this book, it was interesting because I found a quote from John Templeton. Do people know who John Templeton is? John Templeton was a philanthropist, and he was very, very keen on unity. John Templeton gave millions of dollars to unity over his lifetime. He really believed in the teachings of unity and the power of unity. And he believed in gratitude. And in this book, one of the things that Emmons is talking about is how gratitude can be like, we can think about growing gratitude like a garden. And he quotes Templeton talking about this, and I'd love to share this with you. So Templeton said, so if you exercise no control, it will become a weed patch. He's talking about your garden. And a source of shame and misery. If you exercise wise control, then it will be filled with God's miracles and become a place of indescribable beauty. You're free to choose which. How can you do it? Simply, for example, develop a habit of looking at each thought in you as you would a plant. If it is worthy, if it fits the plan you desire for your mind, cultivate it. If not, replace it. Is that unity? How do you get it out of your mind? Simply by putting in its place 2 or 3 thoughts of love, of gratitude, for no mind can dwell on more than 2 or 3 thoughts at a time. Circumstances outside the garden of your mind do not shape you. You shape them. For example, if you expect treachery, allowing those thoughts to dwell in your mind, you will get it. If you fill your mind with thoughts of love, you will give love and get it. If you think little of God, he will be far from you. If you think often of God, the Holy Spirit will dwell more in you, and the glory of the universe is open to every person. Come, look and see. Some look and see, some look and see not. Gardens are not made in a day. God gave you one lifetime for the job. Control your garden or your mind grows with practice and study of the wisdom of other minds. God, who produces an item of unique beauty in his garden or in his mind, and each one of us who have this unique beauty in our garden of the mind have a duty to give that seed to others. As your body is the dwelling place of your mind, so your mind the dwelling place of your soul. The mind you're developing is your dwelling place for all your days on earth, and the soul you develop on earth may be the soul you're stuck with. God has given you the choice. I love this idea, though, that we can grow in gratitude if we really take the time to focus, just like Sir John Templeton is saying. We become aware of the thoughts that we're carrying in mind. And if we're carrying something that we don't like, we need to replace it with something else. This is where our affirmations come in. And the denial is that awareness. Hey, I'm carrying that. I don't really want to be carrying that right now. I'd like to replace it with 2 other things. Gratitude is a huge way that we can begin to kind of build up those positive energies, positive thoughts in our consciousness. So I want to share with you what I put together in this little booklet. And since I don't have my slides, those of you who'd like to get this little booklet, what I've created is a beautiful cover, and on the back there are some gratitude affirmations, which you will need your magnifying glass for. I just realized I can't read any of them without my glasses. Maybe glasses would be fine. And then inside I have one page with kind of a template that you can use. And on this template, it has a way for you to put a date at the top, and then today I'm grateful for, and there's 3 spots. Then things that make me smile today, something that inspires me today, people I'm grateful to have in my life. And then down at the bottom, there's a place if you'd like to create a daily affirmation, or pop one from the back in there where you're literally writing it. And then any notes or thoughts you have. Originally, I was going to print this up and just print a lot of paper, and then I realized if you're like me, I kind of like to have gratitude in a book. So I decided I'm not going to print this up. If you need it printed up today, we can do it after the service. We can give you 20 more pages because there's one page in here. But this fits nicely into a little book, and then you can have this for the rest of the month, and you can use it to create a gratitude journal. The other thing that's in here is some very deep questions that you may choose to ask yourself. And there's 7 different questions. These come out of Emin's book, and his idea was that you would take one question on Monday, and every Monday you would do that same question. Tuesday, a second question. But you can play with this as you want. And I just want to go over what these questions are, because this is kind of like the deep dive of how we can really mine the quality and the feeling and the experience of gratitude. The first thing is just to have 3 blessings, write down 3 blessings. And what he says is, note why this happened, not just jot it down. What enabled this positive thing to happen in your life, and what does it mean to you? And then he says, did you tell somebody about it? Just a little note. So 3 things, instead of just jotting the 3 things, to go deeper into. The second is, he calls it to whom for what, and this is focus on things that you're grateful for, and for the source of those things. So think of, and he recommends 5 things for which you're grateful, and who provided the gift or the benefit. And so the statement is, I am grateful to Philip for being such a light in this community, for blessing me in so many ways, for calling me to be the minister here, inviting me to lunch and saying, hey, what would you think about being the minister here? So that's a really easy one to do. I'm grateful to this person for, and then the list could go down. This one is called the gifted self, and the focus is on the gifts that you received, and you begin to say to yourself, I am gifted, I'm so gifted, and begin to feel how you really savor the gift that you've been given in your imagination. You can kind of let your imagination expand on the gift that has been. Like for me, I could say, well, the gift has been being a minister here. I mean, that would be like an explosion in consciousness for me to be grateful to. What they say is, in what way might you give back to others as a response to the gratitude that you're feeling for this one gift that you're thinking about? So this could be one day you might just focus just on that. Looking to the future. This is an interesting one. This is to think about something that is going to almost be over in your life. And it could be an activity, it could be some relationship that you have, it could be an event that you're going to be part of, but there's going to be an end to it. And what you're supposed to do then is write about why you're grateful for it, because you know it's going to be over. You're not going to get it all the rest of your life. So there's like some little gems in there that you might want to pull out and mine. This next one is the George Bailey. People know who George Bailey is from It's a Wonderful Life. So it's the absence of blessing. It's the idea that you think about an event that might never have happened in your life and what your life would have been like. You know, kind of imagine what your life would have been like if that didn't happen. What if you hadn't met a certain person, or you hadn't gone on a certain trip, you hadn't moved somewhere, you hadn't read a book? What would your life have been like? And then the flip side of that is how grateful you are for all the experiences you had. This can just go exponential, some of these. Then he has this gratitude letter, and the quote is one we've probably all heard. Feeling grateful and not expressing it is like wrapping a gift and not giving it to anyone, wrapping a present for Christmas and not giving it to the person that you plan to give it to. So this idea is that spend maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes thinking about someone that you're grateful for, and then write a letter to them, a letter of gratitude. And then the final one that he has is, he calls it bad to good. And the idea, again, is, we all think about how we have these experiences that are really painful for us, really difficult, and yet there's something wonderful in the experience. So whether it's something that happened a long time ago, and you can easily see the gifts that have come out of that experience, or whether it's something that you're going through right now that feels really hard and challenging, to be able to see where the good is in that, because we talk about God is good all the time. So I really want to invite you to play along. I have a gratitude. This is in paper, and they'll be in the back table there if you want to do this. And I'd love to know who is going to be doing the gratitude challenge, because I won't be here the next 2 Sundays. I'm going to go see grandkids, and then we always have 2 guest speakers when they're 4 Sundays. But I will be here Gratitude Sunday when Philip is leaving. And I would like you to leave the room for a minute, if you would, Philip.
So we can talk about it.
Put your earphones on. Hardly seems fair, does it? I just thought it would be so great if everybody would take the time to write and really feel into your relationship with Philip. He's been amazing. I'm going to miss him like crazy. I'm already crying. And that we could give this to him when he leaves. So if you want to handwrite it, great. If you want to type it and send it to me, I'll print it up, and we'll just make a little gratitude booklet for Philip. So get real specific, things that, moments you sat with Philip and he said something to you. Philip doing some healing with you. Philip making you laugh, just whatever it is. I think it would be a really nice thing, and it just ties into this idea that we can make a commitment to feel the connections. So somebody want to go get Philip? I hope everyone will be here on the 24th bringing soup and pie, and then we're not going to really roast him, maybe a little toasting. So thank you all. And I'll put the booklets on the back, and anybody who wants to do it, let me know you're going to do it. And also I'm going to send the email out, because I got an email copy of everything, and to send it out to the whole email list. So I think we're going to sing. I think I'll put the slides on. I'll put the slides on the email, and people can see, because I had some really nice quotes in those slides, and I don't have it in my head.
Shall we stay seated? The song that we're going to be singing, What a Wonderful World, I know you know it. Or should we get up? Okay, let's get